Ding.
Gonna stand into it?
We're live. Okay, so welcome to the edge of Western civilization yet again.
So now with
This
the,
is
my thoughts is
I don't know, August 14th. Yeah. Show number 57, and we have some visitors today that are pretty nifty. That's John Riley. That's Xander. Where is he? There we go. That's Masha.
Perfect timing for our
Perfect timing for our little gathering today. So, anyway, keep talking.
The energy lines started to heal, and the Great Spirit sent its energies because the European and Asian and Middle East energy line grids is negative, but not a negative in the extreme. It's because it's like you were saying, I think, by not knowing how to use it to maximize it. So they were trying to maximize it. So that's one of the main reasons why Bush had to go and take possession of the vortex. There are two vortexes, but he took possession of one before Saddam Hussein could maximize it. Because anybody, anywhere, there's one in Jerusalem. There's one all over the world.
Yes. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Take over control any dark side, especially.
Yeah.
Oh, that's incredible because you can connect to the big cameras.
Without a doubt. There's so much evidence of these battles of power that are for these power portals or these power positions.
There you go.
So yeah.
So in the big healing, because the big drama, the cosmic battles in the higher dimensions have been going on for millions and billions of years. It's showtime now. By 2012, showtime.
Yeah.
And all through that process, Mother Earth started healing. And her energies went. It's like your own chakras. Your arm is not flowing. Started flowing. And it went over the Egyptian country, northeast Africa, northwest, northeast, the wave, like the wind. And it blew over that. And then right after that, the people, because it's like the people don't want to be in fear, people are ready to fight, but they're a little fear, they don't know what to do. But when you get a calling, when something blows in your higher being, and it's gotta be now, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So the Spring Revolution is why Tunisia and everyone, they just rose up. But then afterwards, it's kind of hard to follow spirit, you know what I mean? To be in two worlds, so it kind of, right now it's,
Yeah.
But it's more higher
waves
than
up and low.
Yeah, but now it's higher instead of this, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I get what you're saying. We when we understand the dualistic aspect of it, we can almost see that tangibility that we are being pulled into a negative field. There's a subtle energy that's constantly drawing us down into this negative.
There you go,
and we see that in the collective all the time. And then when we see the portals, like you were just mentioning in Israel, when the uprising starts to happen, we see the duality of almost everyone come out when these portals become active. I mean, if you're monitoring Facebook, you see how people unleash, and it doesn't matter what side you're on. It's just that there's no neutrality, no neutral in observing or trying to be on either side of the situation that's been happening there for 100 years or more, whatever it is, and watching the diminishment of one. And the dominant force, so when we have to kind of look at what's really going on there. So it gets really tricky to even discuss it past that type of observation because you start getting into beliefs. So getting what the people are, and what they, and the supportiveness of it and what they are. But it's all just speculation unless you're there immersed in it and seeing what's really going on because we're, taking the word of the news media, how they're telling us what is going on.
Don't believe the hype.
No, you
don't
can't.
Believe the hype.
You have to leave that alone. You have to just look at it from an observant standpoint and try to avoid getting engaged when someone says, "Well, who are you at Al Center Israel?" You know, you just gotta smile. Just pat them. Oh, look at the time. Time me to take a go that way. You know, because you know it's just you're gonna get caught in an energy no matter what. So yeah.
No, we're in times that are so incredibly powerful. It's time to really. I think he was saying something about acting more acting. You know,
Oh yeah.
doing things.
Yeah, well amplified and consciously and physically. You know, we could be very more engrossed in it, or you know, engrossed is to get enough word. And then we start speaking. We can be in an action aspect of it as well. Does it have to happen there?
Ah, yeah, that's what I meant. That's what I meant. Yeah. If you just think that you're not affecting other people, that's completely wrong.
Oh yeah. Well, you know what? You brought up a really good point. You know, we talk about human consciousness, but then we also look at the planetary energies. You know, I had a dream, and you were vaguely in it, but you didn't get to go on the true ride. But what was happening is that there was like a few of us involved. We were hiking, and we went to this sacred place, but it wasn't man-made. It was a natural element. It was an organic element, but in this intelligence, it created a platform, and it was like this perfect round circle platform in the desert, and it was red. You know, it had a red material, and so we got down there, and it was about 50 feet in diameter, and we started walking on this, but then I walked over, and I kept walking to this cave, and then there was this cave that looked like a wave formation, and in it was emanating energy, and you could feel it was building and building and building, and so I took a step back and I said, you know, let's just stand here for a couple minutes and just be still, and all of a sudden it was like a geyser, and this energy enveloped the disc, opened up a magnetic latch through a dimensional doorway, and threw us onto this other planet. It was not intentional. We didn't have to do anything. It's a geyser, a dimensional bridge that was constantly building up and shooting to this other planet. You know, so when you're in this energy geyser, you're just instantly teleported there. And this was a constant. And it doesn't matter what we are; it's a constant energy. So all of a sudden, we were on this other side. And there was someone who came forward, the guardian, and started talking to us and needed our assistance. Yeah. That fell and hit me in the back of my legs. Actually, perfect timing. Huh?
Yeah, really. Go ahead.
So this became very interesting. It's for us to understand that we're involved in actions beyond us that are part of this bigger cosmic picture. That's planetarily the organisms here. And what is going on in the bridging network.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Now that's almost a whole enchilada right there. That's a big, for any average human soul, which are not average, but who think they're average and they're walking around thinking that everything is kind of normal. You're right on.
Yeah, the normalcy.
Oh yeah, you like to say kind of normal. Sorry, I said it now.
Yeah, normal's a tricky word. You know, it's a
no, the responsibility. Yeah. The responsibility, and most people don't shy away. They are hesitant, would be a better word. Knowing there's a fire within themselves, knowing that the ocean is across this ocean. The hesitancy, there's no better word, huh? The like a stalled mule or like a stalled horse, not a car, like a mule. You know how they stall? They don't want to do it. Stubborn.
Yeah, really.
Hesitant, stubborn. Better word, stubbornness.
Well, that's
and it's not really based on fear. It has a base. It's more something to do with not knowing. Infinity?
Okay, here's the thing. Everybody is infinite. Everybody comes from infinity. And part of the main functions of being on this earth is a sense of the first thing that happens is you forget everything, right?
They all forget.
You forget everything, right? But in the core, everything that you can't forget everything. And people do their best to remain as ignorant as they possibly can while they're here, and to stay here. Because if you really start to remember who you are and where you come from, then you can't really just be here. You can't just enjoy the show. Because then everything starts to make sense, and everything starts to get magical, everything starts to get spiritual, and in fact there isn't anything that isn't spiritual, and then then you have to do work.
You're seen as a whole different level of being.
Right. They
they give you a label that puts you in a
basically
sanctuary.
The end of your vacation.
You can never just get on a plane and travel.
The difference is because of the cosmic battles that we were talking about a while ago. People were because in a cosmic battle you have higher dimensional traps and so forth, like we were talking about a while back. What you just said makes a lot of sense because people have to be protected, not in an ignorant way, but in a higher level way. For example, the more the dark ones of the highest dimension know that someone's waking up, they'll try and use them.
But that them challenging that person is part of their initiation. It serves the gargoyles serve a purpose.
Yeah.
And because once again you're dealing with infinite immortal beings. Everybody here is an infinite immortal being.
What I'm saying is there's a tilt towards the dark ones winning before 2020. There's a tilt.
Yeah, here's the thing.
But not anymore.
I understand. I understand what you're saying. Okay, this concept of it was the basis of the Norse cosmology, of the Norse people. It was that Odin, the god of the gods, the father of the gods of the Norse. Right. He was engaged in this cosmic battle of good and evil, right? And he championing the good for the betterment of humanity, right? And or the salvation of humanity. He needed to see, he saw that the battle was, that he would win some and they would win some, and it just kept going back and forth, and then he needed to see, like, where is this going, right? So he, finds out about this tree and this well and all this kind of stuff, that this ritual, that if he undergoes this ritual, then he'll be able to see into the future, right? But it's going to cost him, and what it cost him is he had to take out his eye and offer it to the oracle, right? And then hang on this tree upside down for, I don't know, days, whatever, to get sight, right? So that's why you see him with an eye patch, right? And what he saw was that this cosmic battle between good and evil would ultimately result in evil winning, with the darkness winning, right? And so he saw that his goal was to stave off that day for as long as he could possibly. That was the reason to fight. In the same way that in the Gita, you have Krishna trying to convince this dude to. Arjuna to begin the battle against his own relatives. He's like, I don't want to fight those people. And, Krishna's telling him, you have to fight them. Well, why do I have to fight them? And the whole Gita is him explaining why he has to fight. Which is insane. But anyway.
I become death, the destroyer of worlds.
Exactly. So the idea that ultimately the darkness will prevail is, that was a driving force for a good percentage of the world, for, like the whole Germanic world for many centuries. But the interpretation is it's limited because, yes, the darkness will consume the darkness, but we come from beyond the darkness, and we come from beyond the light. And the physical will subsume the physical, ultimately, yes, okay? But that's not us.
Yeah, what he said
You know.
about the dreams, that's Lemurian portal. You know about Lemurian portal?
It's a portal.
Do you know the difference between Atlantean and Lemurian portal?
What's the difference between an Atlantean and Lemurian portal?
Well, the explanation.
Or no, what you know of the Atlantean and the Lemurian realities.
Well, I did a bit of research on the Lemurian gateways and what still resides here on the planet, and Mount Shasta to Hawaii. And so that was very interesting.
The Atlanteans are more advanced technology.
And that totally removed
more
any memories that I have.
The Lemurians are more what?
Mother Earth-based technology.
Right.
Technology.
Right.
Way of doing things.
Yes.
Yes.
Earth-resonant technologies.
Yeah.
Yes.
Resonance.
Subtle energy technologies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what you just described, that's a Lemurian portal. Meaning you guys were...
Oh, him, because I didn't go along.
You were traipsing around the outside. When we stood on the platform, you didn't go to the other side. Just
Yes.
Brian, Kuta, and myself.
Of course.
We ended up there. We had work to do because someone was waiting for us, asking us, saying, and it had everything to do with frequency and this organic repair work that we began to do to keep these giants from decimating the portal and being able to come back to Earth in about a month. It was very elaborate, and it was all like straight-eyed, and working with this one guide, and he was just very physically balanced and always standing like this. He's wearing like this very interesting. It was like a cape coat type thing, very unusual. I wish I could draw it, but he's always there. Eyes, he's like, and always like this very steady in his physical being. And then he would overview and show what needed to be done. I said only a few could do, so it's fine. Right. And so it was very interesting stuff.
Why you were brought there?
Yeah, to repair this grid.
Right, but you know why you specifically were brought there? It's because you're still alive, because you're still in the physical, and you're dense enough to be able to engage, where the person that you were dealing with is too. They weren't dense enough. They were coming from dimensions that are too high.
You're right. Because the communication only happened with me, and once Brian got there, he kind of wandered. He was like walking the grid, and I was only having the conversation, which actually is almost like a perfect transition to the dream that I had last night.
Oh yes,
is that there was a live stream person this unit back, and they were very confrontive, and they said they wanted specific things done to it.
In the dream,
and I absolutely refused. And then he got his gang, to start, and I completely just warded them all off and just told them to go away. And I ended up at the back, and I got behind the door, and they came and they backed themselves in. I took the first guy out, and then the other guy had a crowbar, and I just took the bat and I dropped it, and I just started talking to them. And they said, "We'll be back." Something pushed them out. And then that night I was there, it was dark, and these guys in suits were like walking by, and they're waving at me. And all of a sudden they start running. I go, holy crap. I try to lock the door, and I can't. And they busted open. They all have guns, and they shot me 130 times. While I was face down, I felt every shot go into my body. And then the guy came up at the end and shot me in the head. Didn't kill me. I just left. But I was like, it felt every bullet going into the physical body. And it was very interesting. The last guy came up and he put his foot on my shoulder. And
that's
and then what happened?
I transitioned. I woke up. It was like 4 something in the morning. I stayed up till 4:44.
When you say you transitioned,
I went back to sleep.
What do you say transition?
I woke up.
You woke up.
I reviewed it. And I go, wow, okay. And I looked at it.
How did it feel?
Well, it wasn't. There was a lot of power energy. And when I went into physical action, when I tapped the guy with the bat that came in the door, and then I saw aggression, coming. It wasn't fear. I just immediately neutralized that. I said, you know, this isn't what we're supposed to be doing, and I was battling not being physically engaged. And so when I saw them coming, I said, okay, this is kind of it. So I couldn't even lock the door. It had to happen, apparently. I was trying to, like, turn the lock off. And I just stepped away, and I took 3 steps back, and they just came in.
Right.
All through. Said something, which I don't remember what he said. You know, calling them out. Whatever.
So how did you feel?
It was more of a contemplation. I just viewed it. There was no sensory that I came out, emotion.
Right.
It was very neutral for the whole thing. Because I said, well, I didn't die, but I felt every bullet, and it wasn't really pain. I just felt them entering my physical body. Mm-hmm. And but there was like a disconnect of pain where, you know, sometimes you can actually start yelling or screaming in the dream. None of that was there. I was just kind of just embracing, okay, this is it. You know, it's time to transition. But I was face down. You know,
when did that happen?
Last night. This is where I got here.
We're
actually staying right.
Like I was telling him a while ago.
Really?
That's what happened.
There's a lot of mess.
What?
This is Andrew. He's got something to say.
What is it?
You want to speak
to the mic?
This is live stream.
Okay, speaking to 0 viewers, but
What's that?
it's 0 viewers.
Yeah, but it'll be archived later.
Okay.
Yeah, it's being archived as we speak.
Yes. For later review.
And
You can watch it on YouTube.
Yeah, we're gonna go eat.
Later tonight.
We're done.
What are you eating?
Johnny Ruins.
Yeah, we're gonna go get you some garlic fries.
Garlic fries!
You know, we have a 13, 15 dimensional body. I don't know if the Egyptians, they go up to the 9th, Egyptians. But the complete set is 15. To make it short, you gotta overcome those things because that's the lower dimensional, 4th dimension, dream time, 4th dimension, the 4th dimensional aspects. A lot of people, high level souls especially, are caught in the big dramas of the middle domains because of the 2012 effect. It's called a checkmate, 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 the Trinity over all creation. And that happened in 2012. Infinite one, infinite love doesn't just say, I won, you die. Infinite one is not human, or the wind, or the tree.
Yeah.
It's beyond. So us caught in this of our own creation. Actually, I wrote a note about memory. It says something like this. It's about memory, remembering who we are, who we create, that we are the ones who created that memory. When we remember the memory, we will remember that we are the ones that created that memory. Because of a higher level reality that we came from, original source, unity, consciousness. But when people, like especially high level souls, are caught in those kind of dreams, it's not good. Because your energies, it's telling you something.
It happens very rarely, but it happens. Yeah, I get that. You know, that was a contemplation aspect of it, just to review it, what was going on, and it was actually my subconscious communicating with me, actually with the events that are actually happening right now. So I got it very clearly. And how to resolve it.
No, you resolved it already within there.
Yeah.
Within the 4th dimension, what you did was first you took action as action was given. And then you wised up or something, or changed your mind, or strategized differently. And the next guy, you hit the peace pipe. So you understand?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm thinking, all right, so you wised up really quick, but there's still a whole bunch of gang out there after you. Friends, relatives, whoever it is, that will continue their energetic movements towards you.
Sure.
Being an advanced soul, that you should ponder more about it as to what it all completely means.
I have been all day.
What do you think it means?
Since I've been awake, pondering. Well, it was really interesting because one of the people that was around me has been negative. Everything that comes out of his mouth is all negative. and I have to be in that environment for several hours during the day. And so what was really interesting is what happened is that neutrality that happened, you know, in the dream actually manifested today, because I was looking and said, okay, well, what do I do to help that? And everything, you know, guidance just said, you know, intuition just said, leave it alone. And he came in and, you know, said something, and he says, that's fine, I'm not going to talk to anyone. You know, if no one says anything to me in a minute, I'm just going to be silent all day. And we didn't say anything, and he went completely silent for hours. So it was kind of perfect. No negatives, no nothing came out of it. You know, and it was really interesting how that manifested. So that changed.
I would worry about the last one comes in and gives you the coup de grace. See who fine-tune who that is.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's good. They got again.
Yeah, there's a physical presence attached to it, but not in relation to what's happening. You know,
I think the fact that you were not able to see that, that you had,
no, I could see.
It says,
you know, there was like this overall. I was here, but everything.
You could see everything.
It all. Yeah, it's all there. I see the person that came up and did the last shot.
One of the
missed the brain though.
One of the tools that you can use, that I've used in situations where I found, you know, here on the boardwalk, often I find myself in situations where I can't move, and there's like, you know, some yuck stuff going on around me, you know. You know, I have to like pack everything up and move. And I've done that on occasion, but one of the
I just had one.
Yeah. One of the things that I do is I do the Q mantra. Okay, so I'll just go to myself, you know, or just if I start doing that, like there have been times when like Harry Perry has been like right there, doing his thing, and I just set up and I'll just start doing the Q mantra in my own head, you know, under my breath. And the last time he did that, I started doing it, and within 3 seconds he left. You know, there have been situations where people have started fights around me, and instead of like jumping in the middle of it, I start doing the Q mantra. Immediate dissipation. So that's just a little something you can use in your space. Another thing is that radiating. If you're going to be there for a while, the person's going to continue to have to be there too. If you start, you know, several times a day, if you do the radiating universal life force energy out of all of your chakras, you're going to change the energy field.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. Well, I think that was like a little nudge reminder to me to do that again.
Yeah.
You know, because I was like in such a transitional state, you know, in all aspects when I got back. And so everything was like, it was all new. There was like no familiar
coming out of the
back. Yeah. So I got to just redesign for like 4 weeks of nothing, you know, and just kind of just like redesign and release old patterns. So it was like that subconscious, you know, again, it's like coming in and just being that fountain again.
Yeah.
You know, just radiating that in my space and not letting any other energy overwhelm and take over.
Yeah.
Because that's most people that's when they lose, is when they get, you know, because the illusion starts to beat on you, and all of a sudden finds an opening and it slowly takes you over. You're getting your head, you know, and first you get the warning signs, all of a sudden there's negative action, then it gets more confronted, then all of a sudden it's like, you know, a battle, and then you're taken over by it. And then you're back here in that matching frequency. So it's about being consciously aware when it's starting to leak in and affect you internally.
One more thing I want to say about this last night stream that you had, and I think I just want to, what you said a moment ago is that you think it's indicative of the energy that's going on right now in the world, and I feel like that's so true, in that, you know, there are all these conflicts going on around. I mean, this thing that's happening in Ferguson, Missouri, you know, it is kind of like right smack dab in the middle, literally the middle of America, in the middle of the summer, on the anniversary of, what is it, the Watts riots, the beginning of the Watts riot, is this opportunity for everybody to do like a soul search of this. Why is this happening? You know?
Yeah.
And that's it'd be one thing if that was all that was going on in the world, but no, you've got the ISIS people trying to eliminate the Yazidis, right? You've got, and never mind, you know, the argument that's going on in Baghdad, and Syria, and what's that? Libya. It's kind of under the There's all, you know,
not being making the top of the news.
And the Ukraine, right? There's all these places that are where, you know, the Russian-Ukraine thing, where like agro energy is the masculine agro energy expression of agro energy is being questioned. You know, it's being brought up because it's obvious that we can't deal with things the way that we have in the past because we are collectively more sensitive than we were when we started this stuff so long ago. You know, we're more sensitive than we were a year ago, for Christ's sake. Never mind 2 years ago when this whole 2012 thing. You know, and you know, and I know that say 10 or 20 years ago, St. Louis was one of the most racist places on the friggin' planet. You know, when I went through there, one of the most insidious aspects of that area is that the sort of racism that there is that black people feel it and the white people are blind to their own racism. They're in complete denial of the fact. They think everything's fine, but the problem is that they try to treat the people around them like oil and water. You know, like this isn't happening. And when the reason why it's happening is because you think that it's not happening. You think that it's okay. You know, on the internet, people have been posting photographs juxtaposing, you know, the civil rights movement in the South, the photographs of the police in Alabama, with the photographs of the Ferguson police, right? And the reason why that is, it isn't everywhere there happening now, but it was back then, and we are more sensitive. We're sensitive enough to have those two photographs juxtaposed. You know, that says that there's a change. You know, and some good news has happened. The state police have been assigned to police Ferguson instead of and the person that's in charge is an African American state police officer. That just happened this afternoon. You know, because it's obvious that, you know, this needs to be. We all need to just take a sit down, step back, and take another look at what's going on there. You know? Anyway, blah blah blah. I can go on and on and on about this stuff, but bring it back to your dream. I mean, I think I see it here. You know, we're all dealing with this. You know, this supermoon. You know, this was a full moon that happened when the moon was as close as it gets to the Earth, right? And so it's amplified. The moon is emotion, right? So everything is like under a magnifying glass right now. You know, energetically, emotionally.
Don't get me started about the moon, you know that.
What?
Don't get me started about the moon.
Oh, too bad.
Artificial satellite.
Artificial.
Ever seen that movie Iron Sky?
Yes. That is what
the other night. It was like hilarious.
It is. Did you see? Was this the director's cut?
Director's cut. Yeah. Netflix. Yeah.
Netflix. It's like, honestly, I couldn't watch. I've tried to watch that movie a couple times. You know, the first time I got like 5 minutes into it. The second time I got 20 minutes into it. I just couldn't. It was just too over the top.
Oh yeah, it was
know?
great. They really made a lot of light of it, which was great. But it's just like, yeah, it's a great scenario.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Egyptian priests have a lot of work. Because the energetics that the moving energy, I mean, that's what happens over here. And that's why your brain makes more sense. It's a multi-level, interdimensional chess game. It's not obvious.
Yeah, it had, you know, again,
it's tricky,
it had no emotional attachment to it. It was just more of just like look at it, see, you know, understand what subconscious is talking about, then see the relations, and then just apply, you know, a shift in that.
It's transmutation.
Yeah, and it was kind of effortless, you know, everything that happened today.
Yeah.
And it just happened with no words, you know, and it was great. You know, and then there was all positive, you know, in today aspect.
What I'm saying,
90%.
in the next drama you get yourself into,
Yeah.
the thing is not to lose.
Oh, in the dream
lose, though?
No, not to get shot at, not to get executed.
Yeah.
That is the drama or the mastery of it. Because the energetics come back, manifest.
Yeah.
In your friends, but if you do it masterful,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to happen.
Trying
It
to
can be quicker.
I'm trying to figure out what movie I saw that made that crossover though. Because there's all these guys in these black, you know, black suits and white shirts and a black tie. Almost Reservoir Doggish. I haven't seen anything lately, you know. We just saw Sharknado 2 last night. Hey, it's Sharkless, man. That movie is the best. Absolutely brilliant.
I can't even.
Oh yeah,
That is so not happening.
it's just like you know, Iron Sky. I mean,
That's what I'm
that-
saying. I can't.
It goes there
watch
right
stuff like
away,
that.
but it's brilliant. They got and they have all these cameos, and it's
Sure.
it's a laugh riot constant, and it makes so much fun of itself. It's great. You know, and then they have bigger budgets, so the effects are even better. You know,
Sharknado 2.
And Sharknado 3 is right behind me next year. They already announced it.
I know.
I wish I was a
It's
producer
so
that
sick,
came up.
man.
We know we're out of ideas. Please,
Don't say it. Don't say that we've jumped the shark with the Sharknado thing. Now, come on.
well, it's almost like the end of real ideas anymore. Like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, this is what it's going to
Oh, well, then now it's time for unreal ideas.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
there you go.
We need more Philip K. Dick stuff.
Like, give an example.
Oh, like his stuff? Well, actually, there's a new movie. Actually, one of his books that actually just got put on for film. I'm trying to remember the name of it.
What's the story?
I'm trying to remember.
Okay.
I was just doing a little review on it. And actually, I think it's complete. Actually, it's coming out like in the next couple of months. Too.
There are some really great movies coming out soon. The Giver
The Giver, yeah.
looks really good.
Yeah.
And then
One of the
there's this
ones is on-
Interstellar.
Yeah.
That's going to be
That's
good, too.
really good. Yeah,
Yeah.
That looks really good. They're really keeping the story, you know, back. You know, they don't want to give it away. You know, what in the trailers.
Yeah, good.
It's a lot.
Because I don't want to. I don't want to know.
Trailer
I don't want to.
gives you
Don't tell me anything. Don't tell me anything.
Yeah.
I want to walk in there.
So Guardians of the Galaxy yet?
I have not.
Oh, yeah.
I saw the
Totally.
US went
Yeah,
to-
it's a
in
whole
3D.
New, whole new level. Yeah. Well, actually, a friend of mine supervised the IMAX, the 3D IMAX, and they shot particular scenes for IMAX.
Mhm.
So they're brilliant. I mean, you're totally immersed in them. You're like, wow. You know, you're just like, you know, it's flawless too. It's just, and they picked up the f-stop, so the luminosity of the film is even brighter. Right? So that was real impressive. So it's almost awesome. You know how you lose like a couple steps or something on this one?
All that technology. If the dark ones would have gotten a piece of the pie, any little tiny atom, that's a lot. They would have used all that. You know, the cartoonist movies and all that stuff?
Yeah.
They would use all that.
They did during our upbringing.
Yeah, but I'm talking about.
You take another look at all the Warner Brothers movies, all the
Yeah.
cartoons and stuff that we were.
Now, can you imagine that?
They were all like
Can
about
you imagine that
killing and blowing everything
being
and
part of,
laughing.
no. Can you imagine that being part of your life not every second, almost every second?
What do you mean?
But that was a possibility.
Yeah, well, it's a good thing it was a possibility
imagine
and not
that?
a manifestation.
Yeah, well, look at what we
No
got to.
manifestation. But that's the residual is still with us. It's gonna continue until we do something about it.
Well,
use
Good
it to
point.
good use.
Good point.
Good
Good point. Until we do something about it.
Well, film is almost like it's our four-dimensional portal because it creates another reality for us that we can sit there and be observers in. In 2012, we got to watch the world get destroyed in the latest technology of effects. we watched this crumble off and go into the ocean in detail. The whole thing of Santa Monica just broke off and went in. Brilliant. Did you see it? And that was the play out. That was the visions that all these people were seeing.
Yeah.
And it came
Projecting
forth.
their energy.
They came forth in film.
Yeah.
And millions of people got to visualize the end of the world. We played it out. We played it out in that realm. Didn't manifest here because all this stuff is just like, you know. So when we can start bridging that and seeing it,
in the Egyptian stories, in ancient Maya, it's called the underworld. In the Egyptian, it's called the upper side.
The dua.
The dua, yeah.
Yeah, no, much with the word twat is derived, by the way, because it's a woman, the mother.
yeah, it gets fascinating when we start to connect the dots. Yeah, but then again, like when we're looking at, you know, it's almost like when we can almost look at a cancer. You know, a cancer doesn't have a consciousness to it. You know, when we talk about shadow, you know, like when a person's shadow, when their dark comes out, is there a consciousness to it? Are they just operating on this level? You know, because they don't seem to be very, you know, humanly aware. You know, in their actions.
Human consciousness.
Well, when we're talking about when we get into the realization aspect, when a person moves into that what we call the shadow realm, or into that dark layer, when they start to, you know, emanate either the, you know, like the base roots, you know, and that aggression, that hatred, it all starts to come up. It just all of a sudden they're just not there. There's a whole different energy about them. So there's a cycle that they go through. I lost my train of thought. I didn't know exactly where I was going with it. I remember where I was going.
Anti-Christic. That's anti-Christic.
You said when a person, you know, starts to manifest the dark side.
And the consciousness, or the non-consciousness of cancer, disease.
Yeah, well, when we talk about, you know, does cancer have a consciousness, or is it just, once it becomes active, it just does, it's on a base program, it just keeps taking over. And it just 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 8, 16, 32, and it just, within 30 days, you know, a million cells have been taken over, another 30 days, 100 million cells have been taken over, and it just keeps doing what it does. Unless we do something about it. We have to shift our frequency. Because if we stay in it, the cancer's just going to do what it's been programmed to do once you turn it on in the cellular system. And then we at the end, we start to do something about it. And then it's usually for 70% of the people, it's too late because they've been, you know, overridden by it. It shows up, you know, the signs, the physical body starts to change, and now all of a sudden you go into an aggressive action to, you know, to remove it, you know, to eradicate it. You know, it's something that could have been festering for 15 years, all of a sudden you're going to take it out in 6 months. Cellularly, we don't really work that way. You know, but we have to do it here. It's fear-based. What do I need to do? You're giving your power to the doctor and to the medical. Now, that's a losing battle right there.
Giving your responsibility.
And then the thing about fighting it. So what, you're going to go to war with yourself? You know, that's the perfect, you know, Carl Sagan said it, you know, if a single cell organism is in war with itself, it's doomed. You know, so when we look at the planet, you know, we go out, we can see, hey, we're one organism here when we change the perspective of it. You know, but right here, it doesn't seem that. But when you get out, you know, it's kind of obvious that we're out here by ourselves. And why are we battling with ourselves? You know, so it becomes fun. Not really.
So the fun is over.
If we can't implement
because we can't blame other people. And put the responsibility on other people.
When we realize that be the change that you want to see in the world, our reality does, you know, affect everything that we personally experience. You know, then outside of just our bubble, you know, when we truly start getting to this level of mastery, things around the world start to happen. You know, we're seeing it very clearly with what's happening in the world because we're looking at it from a whole different level of awareness. And now everything's being scrutinized. So, wait a minute, look at what's going on. Now we have the social media, we have all the technology that's putting it together. Like, are we repeating this? You know, we can put it in front of everybody, like you said. We can juxtapose it, and it's right there. And then we're looking at it and go, well, what are we doing? Are we in a repeat cycle? Have we learned anything? And then we can sit there, we can start to contemplate and take a step back and review this. Okay, what's going to be the outcome if we stay here? Probably the same thing. What good was that? So maybe we should take a different approach to it. It doesn't have to be said. Sometimes it just all of a sudden realize, and especially with the masses, you know, the government, we're not letting the government just do what the government used to do. We're going, wait a second. We let you do this before, and look where it got us.
Yeah.
No. We're going to review this now.
Yeah, like the whole NSA revelations.
But that's has always been. NSA has always spied on people.
That's
Always.
its job. It's a spy
It's
agency.
That's what it was created
But
for.
the whole idea, it has to be responsible
And we weren't
the people that
in the
created it.
1940s or in the 1950s.
Well, it made sense when it was created because of the you know, I guess, when was it created? Was it created in the,
1940s.
was it that early?
Yeah, military. It was first a military
Yes, during the
project.
war.
Something like that.
Yeah. And then it just, you know, during the Cold War, that was really, you know, when the Russians were, you know, perfectly implementing their so-called their Americans into our society.
At the same time, they're working in space together back then. 1950s, they were working in space. Up and down now. Now they're taking over the space base, the Russians.
Yeah.
That's the history of that.
That's true. Yeah.
I wonder how this history will be told 1,000 years from now.
By the ones who win.
Right, but I mean, I'm wondering how the story will
It's always
be told.
right.
You know what I mean? And one of the things that comes,
This is general.
one of the things that, to touch on something you brought up earlier, the whole idea of storytelling through movies. The idea that storytelling is one of the most powerful technologies that we have. Of course, we're biologically hardwired to be receptive to the talking story, and the movie making is just the current manifestation of that technology. Hello.
Hi.
What's that?
They got nothing.
Yeah. Certainly. How long is your stream going?
33%.
Oh, how long do you do it? An hour?
You do it.
Sometimes, yeah.
It's his website.
Yeah,
You
I know.
let it run on.
I usually paint.
During it?
How you doing?
What?
I said, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Splendid.
Good.
Where are you from? Whereabouts? Really?
Really?
I have my cousins from there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Probably no. I'll say.
All right. Maybe.
Seven. Tours. I've been 7 times in 7 years, 5 tours.
Yeah.
Last month.
I have a dear friend over any
Yeah.
Egypt. She does aroma essential oils, Egyptian essential oils. That's great.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
always looking for reaching out the generation oils. Most people don't even know about it. I was pursuing it for like 3 years. Not the right people has moved it down, buried in the earth. There's a blue lotus oil that's sitting in the earth for 185 years.
185?
185 years. Because they found the pot. The pot. They had the first date was 185 years price. And the last time was 37 years for the grandfather. He was the last person who really noticed. Well, the stuff is indigo color. No. He says
So who has the whole pot?
there was actually only about 18 ounces in the bottom.
Get it with it?
Oh yeah. No, I got a whole jar. First 35, and I have about I'd say about 3 ounces left. And
Alrighty
yeah,
then.
he unfortunately the guy that was caretaker of it.
We'll trade. I make
Unfortunately, the guy that was caretaker of it mixed it down.
makes it down.
Yeah, he mixed it with rose oil. So now it's a blend. It's still nice, but it's not just
not the pure.
No, it's not.
I make Native American 100% essential oil.
Oh, excellent.
Papal,
Yeah.
indigenous, flower plants from Native Americans. That's beautiful.
You know, it's all part of the ancient process. It's like true alchemists. They bury it and bring it back into the
It's like wine.
Absolutely. You age it, but then when you bury it, you know, there's that the currents.
Yeah, the energy. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then you put it in there for a couple.
How deep was he buried?
They were only, I think he said it was about 16 inches of dirt. They all little sign. They were all like buried. But then they knew to go out there and start kicking around. They found 3 vessels.
Thank you so much.
One of them was Blue Lotus oil. The other 2 were blends. And they were 200 years old. So they're all amazing. Absolutely amazing. You just totally go out. Like one drop of this Blue Lotus, your whole body just goes into the whole vibration. Shift. So, yeah, it's amazing. Actually, I make amulets with the Blue Lotus in it.
Well, this is with the blend.
No, the true Blue Lotus. Not the blend. No, I still have the blend in my car. I just haven't done anything with it.
And you have the pure.
I still have a little bit left. Yeah.
How much?
I probably maybe have like an ounce and a half.
You know this song? Really?
Not much left, but
Yeah,
a little goes a
One
long
of my
way.
favorite genres.
Goes a long way.
Genres?
Genres.
How old are you?
Well,
Genre. I thought it just busted out genre.
You did, huh?
What's up with that?
He knows.
Yeah. In context.
Great.
Yeah. 12 years old, dude.
Yeah,
Genre.
yeah.
What are you going to
But
teach
he has no short-term memory.
I don't know about that. Well,
no short. No.
No?
We've been working on it. He doesn't have one.
certainly a kid that doesn't need a smooth body.
No.
Or maybe would have the reverse.
Well, he's in the aloof mode most of the time too. He's constantly out there.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I was like that.
Ballast. Ballast. Yeah, one of the things I've been learning is, this whole thing about density and lucidity and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's what they're doing.
Right? Is that density, people use density for ballast
Oh, yeah.
in the same way that a diver uses
Buoyancy.
to maintain equal buoyancy.
Yeah.
So the classic archetype is the psychic fat lady that smokes cigarettes. Because she spends so much time connected out there, she needs to literally take on weight, density, and bad habits, density, darkness.
Yeah, to keep tethered.
To stay.
Yeah. Well, that's most of us see that once we eat. And that keeps that's enough to keep us dense. Especially
To a degree.
with the animals.
To a degree.
Eating the animals keeps us here as
To
well.
a degree.
That's the reason why I don't have talks about people's diets and beliefs. It's like you have to, we're going to have one vice or another that keeps us kind of in our grounding. For me, it's food. And I have with the chickens, with the fowl. The
That you can eat them.
Right. Anything else is very, very difficult. A cow, I'm like, oh no, I just have no want. My body doesn't want it. After I had that darshan in India, 3.5 years ago.
That's stared down by
Totally.
sacred cow.
Yeah, over the period of like 4 days.
Yes.
And then I got blasted on the last day. I'm like, what? And, when I got back, it was like there was not even interest. There's no energy at all. It was just like, no hooked animals.
When is your next trip over?
Hey, 2015. Yeah, it's going to be a big one.
Aren't they always?
Yeah, I always say that, don't they?
Yeah.
They always are. They're progressive. Yes. Yes. Yeah, this one was spending 30 days out there was really something.
In Egypt.
Yeah, 2 weeks on tour and then 2 weeks by myself.
Yeah.
Saturated. Yeah, that was pretty wild. I went through some serious upgrades. 40 hours in bed one time. Yeah.
When you came back?
No, while I was there.
Oh, you were in bed before. Wow, wonderful.
After constructing the jet.
Yes.
Yeah, it just blew me out. And I didn't get out of bed for almost 2 days. 40 hours.
Did they make those before?
I had it all constructed while I was there.
I know, but did they make them?
No.
I saw it in the storefront.
Yeah, well, we put it there. I wasn't going to carry 50 pounds of stone back.
Oh, you had to make it, and
I had made it while I was there, yeah.
And then you just left it there.
It took almost 3 weeks.
And then you just left it there.
Yeah,
You didn't bring it back
The
here.
jet, yeah, one of the ancient jet which background of the virus. It's the symbol that represents stabilization. And it's one of the greatest mysteries in the understanding of what the ancients were able to generate this energy field, because no jets have ever been found, even though there's hieroglyphs of the priest standing there, receiving energy from these things. But no one has ever found one as of yet. So it was definitely a technology. It was more of an organic, elemental technology, but then it also had the element of Osiris. Because Osiris, to me, is the energy. It's like, see this particular energy? Osiris. It's the energy of Osiris. And that's all these pieces of Osiris was put in all the temples to activate them. So that's what bridged them all, to this temple bridge. And so that's the reason why the activity, how they function and how they were able to do what they did. So, yeah.
It was like chemical.
Yeah. Well, it's organic. Yeah.
More than mechanical.
Well, yeah, no, it wasn't like moving parts. The way we perceive technology, it was organic technology. It had elemental, elements of the earth, combined, it creates a larger field. Most of our technologies are based on earth elements. We use copper, we use magnets to create electricity. Yeah. But we need the natural elements of the earth to do it. So there's really no other way unless the earth is naturally creating these effects. And that's what we're talking about, these magnetic interactions, these portals.
So what did you cause your engine?
The jet.
The jet
is DJE.
J.
Yeah, J. Yeah.
What did you cause it to do?
Well, when we turned it on, because it was a combination of limestone, red granite, and basalt. And when we combined them, we created the geometry of the backbone of Osiris. And when we combined it in the field of these radiant generators that I created, it created a very unique energy field. Kept building and building and building until it blew the technology out. Never saw that before. Kept drawing from the ether, just kept pulling it out. So just kept drawing more and more energy. And so I was like, and then, after about an hour, I couldn't even function. I was like, I gotta go. When I said goodbye to everyone, I had a sneeze fit for 12 hours. Sneeze.
How did the people left behind act normal?
Yeah, they were all fine. It was like, no one was exposed to it as I was, for the longest period of time. But I felt the shift, and I said, okay, this activation of the jet, there's something going on here. And I just dismissed myself, said goodbye, and went through everything. Fevers, chills,
you created an
felt
artificial...
every part of my body, went through pain awareness. My organs, were achy and everything. I thought I picked up a virus. I said, no, this is more than that.
You created an artificial...
It was a combination etheric field that hasn't been activated for a very long time on this planet. So that's what happened when what's given the ancient alchemy of the lotus, the water from the obsidian, the alabaster, and combining it with gold and living element. And to create these amulets, what they do is beyond explain it. So I wasn't given that, what they were for. I dispersed them to 13 people, me being one of them, and I asked them to wear them.
You know that? What was it used for?
Yeah, I do, yeah. Well, they called, all I looked at it and I said, Oculus. Then I said, Oculus, just held the first one. And then I looked it up, and the closest was Latin for lens. So, yeah, it was the lens, the higher knowing. And actually, you can wear it and sleep with it. It takes you into the super consciousness. So I didn't know that until I dispersed it and asked everyone to report back to me.
You brought
preparation to exist.
Sorry about what I said.
No, that's right. Yeah, it's correct. But they're preparing us for them.
Well, what I'm saying is, ascension is. Especially in Egypt. So Egypt was an ascension place.
Absolutely. Still portals there.
No, but it was cut off. because of the dark ones taking over.
No, that's when the entire Earth was.
That's what you got to do. What you got to do. Well, that's what you're doing. You understand me? You got to be there.
Yeah, we were separate from the galactic grid.
I mean, oh, again, will you repeat your dream of all them bullets and stuff? I mean, yeah, it's crunch time. The interdimensional reality of all these dimensions. Down here in the lower dimensions, the higher dimensions are already been taken care of.
Are you
Absolutely.
your book now?
You know, I went there. You know, I had this vision of being in Abydos, saturating myself in the temple of Seti and the Sirion, and I got 3 pages. And then one of the guards came in and like it totally interrupted the flow, and I really got really upset. I'm like, "Gotta be kidding!" I said, "That's what I thought this trope was all about." Apparently, it wasn't. I guess that's happening later when I do the 6-month saturation. There was so much interference, you know, because I was like one of the only people there, and when they saw me come back to the town, they would not leave. I didn't have a second piece until I walked into the temple that no one else followed. But once I got out, they all just wanted it to be a part of it, a piece of me. And it was so interfering. You know, I just could not. I was like, wow, this is crazy. And so after 2 days, I had to leave. So then it was like 110. I was like overheating. You know, it was thermal, building up so much energy. I said, I have to get out of here. I got to Cairo. I was actually, it was like I cooled down. You know? And but it was like, yeah, that was. But I got saturated. You know, when I worked in the Seti temple, I just, you know, met all the guards, bakshish them all, and they said, "Stay as long as you want. We'll leave you alone." And I think there was only like 3 visitors that day to the temple, so I had it all to myself.
What happened to that guy in charge of the Egyptian? He got demoted. What happened to him?
He's touring
now?
He's out here now, apparently. He's like touring.
Oh, a professor somewhere, some university.
Dr. Hawass.
He's in some university.
Yeah.
So, were you thinking of having the jet sent back here?
No, not that one. That was the first level. No, we're going to be constructing another one.
Here?
And no, we don't have the elements here. Not the same ones. No, it's also to be done there. I leave all my work there. I bring the technologies that are made for Egypt, and they stay there. I never bring it back. So I've got a pile of stuff there. Properly kept and waiting for me when I get back. They say, "Hey, can I have that?" Take it out, smoke it. You know, they store it all for me. That's the way it's supposed to be. I just keep adding to it.
So, where's your new location?
Right off of 20th in Colorado. In the artist area there, you might get. You know what Dodd Art is?
Dodd
Art? Ever hear of him? Yeah, he's like an architectural artist. Yeah, really cool guy. Just like this little artist alcove there.
Where?
Right there, I just told you, 20th in Colorado. On the west side there. Right.
So, from where you were before?
1 block.
1
2
block.
blocks over. I was on 19th of Broadway. Now I'm on 20th in Colorado.
Okay.
I jumped 1 block.
Okay. All right.
So, yeah. All right. But we're staying at Paloma right now. Paloma, yeah.
Congratulations. So you're with the company again.
Yeah. Yeah, I just need to become more
That's
aware.
great. Good for you.
We'll be there till Monday. So
Wonderful.
We'll walk over
What's
here.
today?
Huh? Christmas?
Oh, good.
I know, I have to ask.
Oh, darn. Hey, you know what today is?
Thursday.
And Thursday is pizza night.
Burritos.
Pizza night where?
It is. The burrito guy comes
Are
right
we
at
going to
sunset.
get pizza?
And then there's the Whole Foods. They have $10 pizza night.
Oh, really?
Yes.
We're going to Jody Moon.
Oh, well.
Get garlic.
Jody Maroney.
Garlic
We have to
fries.
get there before sunset.
Yes,
right?
you do. So hurry up.
Yeah.
Get going. Get. Hurry up.
You be here
Jump,
when
jump.
we get back?
I will
I
be.
know you will. You? No. All right. It was a pleasure.
Unless we run.
I'll see you with some
There
fries.
better be some fries.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Why not? All right.
All right.
See you people later.
Thanks, Sean.
Yeah.
No people.
I'm out of here.
All right. What a pleasure.
You're here every day?
In spirit.
How about physically? Almost every day?
Yeah. Except the weekends are questionable
Yeah, because of the crowdedness.
because of space. You know.
I know, fighting over.
Oh yeah, you know.
I'll be here next week. saving enough money to get to Central America.
Yeah.
We'll tax support. Blessings.
Safe journeys. Alrighty then. That was fun. So fortuitous. Hello. How are you today? Yes. Thanks for coming to see me. Big lump in the back of the on the back. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Come on, bud, get up here. Yeah, girl.
You wear it well. Alrighty then. So, the dog decided to come up and say hello. So, that was wonderful. That was John Riley and his son Xander and Masha, the Mayan priest. And Masha, about a month before December 21st, 2012, he, once I told him the whole story about discovering those archaeological sites in Big Sur and my movie Emergence Beyond 2012 and everything like that, I actually gave him a book. And I think I gave him a copy of a DVD. He had watched the movie. That's how we met. I was at the Whole Life Expo. Whole Life? No. Conscious Life Expo here in LA. That fall, near the in the LAX Hilton, and he, as the place was closing down, he came up to me and said, "You're the guy from that movie." I was like, "Yeah, I'm the guy from that movie." Anyway, he says, "We need to talk." I said, "Well, let's go talk." And we sat down and we talked for about 3 hours. And he volunteered to introduce me to. He had just come from the week before. He had been with grandfather Martin in Hopi land. I think he's the oldest Hopi elder of the traditionalists in Hopi land, and he had just come from there and was interested in potentially going there together for him to introduce me to Martin, and for us to have a conversation that has to happen at some point about the sites I discovered in Big Sur. So we weren't able to coordinate that, but instead he took me to, we rendezvoused and went up to Ojai, where he introduced me to the Shumash elder, and that was a very interesting meeting, which I can go into at another time. But the significance of the Shumash is, aside from the fact that they were the people that lived in LA before it was LA, there's this story that I talk about in the movie. If you watch it, you can watch it for free on YouTube. Emergence Beyond 2012 ? And you can, if you're watching this, if you just go to my channel and you'll see it on there. It turns out, this isn't in the movie, but it was corroborated since the movie came out. There's a story about this brother named he was a Hawaiian kahuna named Daddy Bray, and he got a message when he was living in the islands that he needed to come to the mainland. So he came to the mainland and he went up and down the West Coast looking for why he was here, and eventually, hello. Good.
Great art.
Thank you very much. He couldn't find it, and he landed here in LA. And at the time, there was a print shop that was owned by Native Americans, and he landed in that place. and hung out with those guys for a couple of days. And then one day he just said, I'm going home. And the person that was there said, oh, you're going back to Hopi Land? He was like, Hopi Land, where's that? He says, I'm Hawaiian, I'm going back to Hawaii. It's like, they figured out that, he figured out that that's where he needed to go. And so to make a long story short, I talked all about that part in the movie. Martin went and had a formal meeting. Daddy Bray went and had a formal meeting with the Hopi elders. I'm sure that Martin was involved, that Grandfather Martin was there. And this took place in the late, I'm guessing either the late 60s or early 70s. And so this formal meeting takes place, and Daddy Bray, there's nothing coming to light, and so they go to close the meeting, and Daddy Bray, before they closed it, he asked if he could recite, if he could sing the song of his lineage, and the Hopis gave him permission, and so he sang the song of his lineage, and when he's finished the song, the Hopis were amazed because they knew the end of the song, because as it turns out that a long time ago, the story the Hopis tell is that a long time ago, a group of Hopi had gotten a message that their relatives were in trouble in the middle of the Pacific Ocean and they needed to go out there, and so a group of them got together and they headed to the coast, and supposedly they made ships and they were never heard from again. Well, it turns out that they went to the coast and they met up with the Shumash, and the Shumash taught them how to build the ships and how to sail them and everything like that. And the Shumash tell the story that one day these folks were gone. So anyway, that's the more of the story and so forth. Go ahead and watch my movie, because plug. Anyway, so we're at 4%. Battery's going to die any minute. And thanks for watching. Today was really interesting. Didn't get any painting done, but that's okay. It was amazing to have John Riley, one of my personal heroes and brothers, and Masha here. And 'cause that's the first time I've seen John since before he went to Egypt last May, I think it was, May or June. So, hi. And so anyway, I guess just lucky, good energy. Have a great rest of the day, and I will. Pizza night. So remember that. We love you.